Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Brahma's Prayers to Lord Krishna, Text 17. Please repeat after me. Yasya Kukshau Idam Sarvam Sa Atmam Bhati Yata Tata Tat Tvayi Api Iha Tat Sarvam Kim Idam Mayaya Vina Yasya Kukshav Idam Sarvam Satmang Bhati Yata Tatha Tatvaya Tatsarvam Kim Idam Mayaya Vina Yasya Kukshav Idam Sarvam Satmang Bhati Yatha Tatha Tatvaya Tatsarvam Kim Idam Mayaya Vina Yasya Kukshav Idam Sarvam Satmang Bhati Yata Tatha Tatvaya Tatsarvam Kim Idam Mayaya Vina Kukshav Idam Sarvam Anyone else? Matajis? Kukshavidam sarvam Satmang Bhati Yatha Tata Tatvaya Tatsarvam Kim Idam Mayaya Vina Yasya, of whom, Kukshav, within the abdomen, Idam, this cosmic manifestation, Sarvam, all, Sa Atmam, including yourself. Bhati is manifested. Yata, as. Tata, so. Tat, that. Tvayi, within you. Api, although. Iha, here, externally. Tat, that cosmic manifestation. Sarvam, whole. Kim, what? Idam, this. Mayaya, the influence of your inconceivable energy. Vina, without. Translation and commentary by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation: just as this entire universe, including you, was exhibited within your abdomen, so it is now manifested here externally in the same exact form. How could such things happen unless arranged by your inconceivable energy? Purport. Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse as follows. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma stressed herein that without accepting the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot explain things as they are. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yasya kukshav idam sarvam satmang bhati yata tata tattvai yapiha tatsarvam kim idam mayaya vina. Just as this entire universe, including you, was exhibited within your abdomen, so it is now manifested here externally in the same exact form. How could such things happen unless arranged by your inconceivable energy? So we see here Brahma in glorifying the Supreme Lord, actually in one way he is repenting for what he has done, and he is appreciating the various qualities of the Lord, his various potencies, his mystic powers. Specifically in the last 2-3 verses and the upcoming verse as well, he is specifically pointing out the mystic opulence of the Lord. So while he was contemplating about him, how he was born. So he was born from the lotus flower which sprouted from his navel. So he was glorifying about the Lord's expansion as Narayana, and from his navel the lotus sprouted and then he appeared. In verse 14 he points out that how is it that you were there, you are lying on the Garbhodaka ocean and I couldn't see you. He says that for hundreds of years, I was moving up and down within that stem, but I couldn't see you at all. Why I couldn't see you? And then we know that he hears the instruction from the Lord, he hears to perform tapasya, and then he continuously performs tapasya, and then the Lord gives him further instructions, and then he reveals himself. So he was trying to understand why I'm not able to see you. I couldn't, and he says that I was meditating upon you, as Sri Krishna was explaining, that hridayadi kavaye mukyanti yat surayah. So he was meditating on his heart, the Supreme Lord. I was not able to see you there also. He was explaining why it was like that. So he was questioning himself, why these things are happening, why I couldn't see you. And further, so he comes to the point that actually it is inconceivable how you appear, how you perform your activities, how you maintain, how you control, how you destroy. It's all we have to take into consideration your inconceivable potency. That is the main theme of these verses. We can see here. In yesterday's verse, he's using the word tan maya. So, and also a very nice word that was used by Brahma while glorifying him is called as the Dhamana Krishna. Dhamana means one who controls. Kaliya Dhamana, the song also comes, who subdued Kaliya. Subduing is something, this one is controlling. Subduing has got a little bit of a extra meaning in the sense that, like, if you are proud, then the Lord can subdue your pride, or whatever you are proud of, your opulence or whatever it may be. So that's one of the qualities of the Lord. So indirectly, he's also pointing out that, thank you, my dear Lord. I was just a little bit. I just kind of thought of testing you, and you are Dhamana Krishna. You subdued my so-called doubt, and you subdued me. So that is one point. And here in today's verse, specifically he's pointing out that that again, from elaborating from yesterday's verse, he is again perplexed that how is it that to your mother you showed, when you opened your mouth, she could see the entire universe. In fact, he can see you and your mother, everybody inside your mouth. How is it possible? It's very perplexing. It's not possible. So Acharya has given an example of a mirror. There is a mirror. You see a reflection in the mirror. You see only the object, and you can't see the mirror itself inside the mirror. He gives an example. The mirror is reflecting something. How can you see the mirror inside the mirror? So it's not possible by logic. So similarly, they're giving an example. So how is it possible that within your mouth you are able to see everything within inside also? So how is it possible? So we have to accept your inconceivable potency. So that is the point that Brahma is speaking here. And in the see, this inconceivable potency of the Lord, it's a very important philosophical understanding. In fact, our entire philosophy is called as the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. So this is our philosophy of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expounded this philosophy, and we can see in terms of the Lord's appearance, the Lord's various qualities, the Lord's various expansions, how he expands, how he is, and also we can see his various in terms of some of his features. For example, the Lord is personally present in Goloka, simultaneously is present in the material world also, is simultaneously present in innumerable universes, simultaneously is present in each and every atom as well. So these are some of the qualities which can also create surprise. This word is being used in Chaitanya Charitamrita as well, chamatkar, you are completely surprised, you are completely amazed by some of the attributes and features and activities and qualities of the Lord. So that is a speciality of the Lord. And specifically our Acharyas, Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami was a Rasika Acharya, and also we see Srila Jiva Goswami, who is the Acharya of the Tattva, the philosophy. Nobody can explain the philosophy like Srila Jiva Goswami. He specifically, Srila Prabhupada in many places, he quotes Srila Jiva Goswami, and he points out that without taking into consideration of the Achintya Shakti of the Lord, one cannot progress in the path of spiritual life. Which means, it is, as we heard yesterday, we cannot understand the Lord. It is not that we can understand the Lord. We can get a glimpse of the Lord by the mercy of the Lord and his pure devotees. Okay, and to understand that glimpse also, we need to accept the Achintya Shakti of the Lord. Now in the Bhagavatam, in various Puranas, in the Shastras, so much of discussion has happened about the Achintya Shakti of the Lord. One small instance, a small discussion from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we will try to discuss a little bit about it. While Srila Krishna's Kaviraja Goswami, who explains about the various activities that was performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he himself is stunned, and how to understand it, how to comprehend it, he puts it in a right way. Now, when it's not only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who is Krishna himself. In fact, we can take any incarnation. It could be Varahadev, Nrsimhadev, Lord Rama, Matsya, Kurma. If you just see the activities that they have performed, we can't put it in any logic. As Matsya, he was so small, and then he became so big that even the ocean cannot accommodate him. It was like that. So like that, and as Varaha, he appears very small from the nostrils of Brahma, and then he becomes so big. And so like that, if you just take different different incarnations, it's mind blowing. We immediately you are in wonder. Oh, what a great personality! And how do you, if you try to put it in logic, it's not possible. So immediately, this is because of the inconceivable potency of the Lord. The Lord can perform all these activities. So that has to be taken into account. And specifically, Krishna's Kaviraja Goswami is pointing out as when Krishna comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is again another amazing thing. So we see this example often being discussed. See, as a husband, one can experience some emotions, and as a wife, one can experience some emotions. So, but simultaneously to experience both, it's not possible. But the Lord, when he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wants to experience, relish what is it that the devotee is experiencing. So in that terms, so there is a discussion from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is from Adi Leela, chapter 17, text 304. Ataeva apane Prabhu gopi bhava dhari Rajendra Nandane kahe prananata kori. Therefore the Lord himself, accepting the emotional ecstasy of the gopis, now addresses the son of Nanda Maharaj. O master of my life, O my dear husband. Say Krishna Shay Gopi Parama Virodha Achintya Charitra Prabhura Ati Sudhurbhoda. He is Krishna, yet he has accepted the mood of the gopis. How is it so? It is the inconceivable character of the Lord, which is very difficult to understand. He puts it very straight. Don't try to understand, don't try to put by your logic, try to comprehend. How is it possible? It is very difficult to understand. You cannot understand it. We have to understand that it is very difficult to understand. That's an important aspect he's explaining. Srila Prabhupada in the purport is making a point. Krishna accepting the part of the gopis is certainly contradictory according to any mundane calculations. But the Lord, by his inconceivable character, may act like the gopis and feel separation from Krishna, although he is Krishna himself. Such a contradiction can be reconciled only in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he has energy that is inconceivable. So that's the whole point. First, when was first time reading about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we were introduced to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord cries for himself. We heard that Lord cries for himself. How to understand this? That was at the beginning was a little difficult. Why the Lord should cry? He is the most happiest person. Everything is under his control. It's just by the fraction of a second he can do everything. But he cries for himself. That was then later, when you, just as we heard, when we were in Bhopal, Mukunda Prabhu gave a very brilliant class. So he was explaining that more than the verse, the purports are so important, he explained. The thing is that we may not be able to understand the verse, because this verse may point out something, but there may be, in the purport, the acharyas know exactly what is it that the acharyas are explaining. For example, we were reading from the Rudra Gita. In that verse, there is no mention of the word sun god. So we couldn't, we asked a question to Mukunda Prabhu, where is the verse doesn't point out sun god, but where in the purport Prabhupada is speaking about sun god and so much explanation. So then said, that's the point. That's where the acharyas come and then they explain we have the gauna artha and the mukhya artha. There is a primary meaning and the secondary meaning. Where there is primary meaning, where there is secondary meaning, the acharyas know, and exactly what is the intention with which that is being spoken. The acharyas know about that. So they explain that point. So here, so he was explaining that the purports actually explain the verse. So it's so important to understand the purports. Now Srila Prabhupada explains here so when we started reading Srila Prabhupada's books, his explanations, he drives this point of achintya. So in this section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishna's Kaviraja Goswami, he goes on to explain. He explains further. Ite tarka korikeha nakara sangshay Krishnera achintya shakti ei matahoy. One cannot understand the contradiction in Lord Chaitanya's character by putting forward mundane logic and arguments. Consequently, one should not maintain doubts in this connection. One should simply try to understand the inconceivable energy of Krishna. Otherwise, one cannot understand how such contradictions are possible. Again, another point to discuss is that it's not that anything we just immediately, sometimes we have an answer, oh, this is achintya. Not that everything we say is achintya. It is achintya, it is inconceivable, but the scriptures and the acharyas, they try to point out to some extent where we can appreciate, to some extent we'll be able to. For example, the eyes of the Lord is compared to the lotus. Many places the acharyas give this example, but then really we cannot, it's just a comparison given of the lotus. Okay, the eyes are so beautiful. So lotus is the nearest beautiful thing that we see in the material world. That's what we can appreciate. So they are glorifying the eyes of the Lord like that of the lotus. Now I understood. Lotus is like this, eyes are like that. It's, I don't know, millions and millions of times more beautiful than the lotus. But this is the comparison that's given. So it's like that. So some understanding one can get, but it's completely to understand the Lord, his form, his features, his qualities, his paraphernalia. It's impossible. So that is what we have to understand. That's the most important thing. So that's what here in this verse, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is pointing out. Krishnera achintya shakti e matahai. So his achintya shakti is, it's not, we can't perceive that. Okay, he further defines that achintya, how the achintya could be perceived. He is pointing out. Achintya adbhuta Krishna Chaitanya Vihar, Chitra Bhava, Chitra Guna, Chitra Vivahar. He points out that the pastimes of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are inconceivable and wonderful. Achintya means inconceivable, and when something is inconceivable, it's also wonderful. Like Divya Rupanita was pointing out that as Govardhan Dhari, Krishna is so small, he lifted the Govardhan hill with his left hand, the small finger. And who can perceive this? How to understand this? There's a whole huge big mountain which is expanding. He was able to lift it with a small finger. And yeah, it is inconceivable. And at the same time, it's adbhuta. It's so wonderful. It's amazing that the Lord could perform such a feat. So that's the point he's saying. Chitra bhava, chitra guna, chitra vyavahar. So his behavior is amazing. So now again he points out that Tarke iha nahi mone e durachar kumbi pake pache tara nahika nishtar. So he points out, if one simply adheres to mundane arguments and therefore does not accept this, he will boil in the hell of kumbi paka. For him there is no deliverance. So he's pointing out that when we approach the scriptures, we should approach it with faith. That the descriptions given in the scriptures are truthful, are reality. It's not something which is being cooked up or concocted, or as the scholars or the atheists and others, they call it as mythology. It's not mythology. So just because we cannot understand that, we can't put it in the bracket of or in the box of mythology. So that, because this is the whole process, the Vedic methodology, the approach to the Vedic methodology is not by blind faith, that we accept it with logic and argument, but the logic can take us only up to some extent. Then beyond that, we need to accept the authority of the statements of the scriptures. This is a very important point. Otherwise, the process fails. So even in mundane science and math, there are many things where you need to assume. We need, for example, we have this imaginary the square root of -1. It's iota. So you accept there are some axioms you accept. So when even in mundane science you accept some axioms, and then you proceed further to understand higher science. Similarly, in approaching the scriptures, we need to accept the authoritative statements of the Vedas, authoritative statements of the Acharyas. Then we can make progress in the path. So that's what is being pointed out. And now, in a great mood, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, he is chastising. You rascal, if you don't accept the arguments here, you will burn in the hell, he says. That's what he says. You will boil in the hell of Kumbhipaka. Okay. Then there's another discussion. So they even call this the hell, which is actually another mythology, he says. So for those who say mythology, they'll see the reality when they leave this world. Okay. Now, this is a very important verse which Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Prabhupada again and again point out, and they bring forth the philosophical conclusion about the achintya. Achintya kaluye bhava Natang starkena yojayet. Prakrityebhyaf param yaccha tad achintyasya lakshanam. Anything transcendental to material nature is called inconceivable, whereas arguments are all mundane. Since mundane arguments cannot touch transcendental subject matters, one should not try to understand transcendental subject matters through mundane arguments. So, this is the whole point. And then further, he goes on to explain that how the activities performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Adbhuta Chaitanya Leelai Jahara Vishwash Shaijana Jaya Chaitanyara Padapash. Only a person who has firm faith in the wonderful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can approach his lotus feet. So now this is not only for Lord Chaitanya's Leela. By this we can understand that when we hear about the pastimes of the Lord, we should accept it with reality. That's why it is said that those who have faith, Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yovedi Tattvataha Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti Sorjuna. So the birth of the Lord, his activities have to be accepted as reality. In truth, it has to be accepted. Tattvataha, the word is being used. So if we just start doubting, and then if we just think that maybe it's all good bedtime stories, then we have to be punarjanma na vidyate, Krishna says, but then we have to take birth again and again, and then we will be repeatedly suffering in this material world. So that's an important aspect to understand. So that's what here Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is driving that point, that we by unalloyed devotional service one can understand. So this point of, again, it boils down to faith. So we hear this famous story, that where Narada Muni was instructed by Lord Vishnu to go and then speak to the Brahmana. Many of you know this story, just to make it very short. So he goes to the Brahmana and the cobbler, and the Brahmana does not believe that the Lord is actually is what he's doing. He's sending the elephant through the small hole, the needle, tip of the needle. The Lord is performing that activity. Brahmana was not able to believe that, but the simple cobbler who has not studied scriptures, who has not done elaborate worship of the deities, but he had faith in the words of the Lord and the words of the scriptures, he was able to understand. He was immediately able to give a live example, quoting that how when the Lord is able to keep the big banyan tree inside the small seed, so what is the problem for him to push the elephant through the small hole of the needle? It's possible. Anything is possible for my Lord. So that's the whole key here. And then we approach the scriptures like this. We approach the devotees like that. But we try to understand also what we are trying to do, and also we try to understand that it is not completely possible to understand everything. So this is the whole approach to the scriptures and the process of Krishna consciousness. And also Srila Prabhupada many times he gives simple examples by which we can try to understand how the inconceivable potency of the Lord, which is acting in the world, in the life comes from life. There is a discussion that Srila Prabhupada brings forth. So he is speaking about how the water is formed. Water is formed by the mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, right? 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen forms water. So Prabhupada explains that there is a vast ocean. He looks at the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean and says how this much amount of water, how this huge body of water is formed. So the scientists cannot give an explanation for that. They are not able to understand that. For us, there is no problem, he says. Srila Prabhupada says that all the elements, whatever that is required to form this water, in his Virat Rupa, all the elements are there, and it is possible for the Lord to manifest this huge amount of water. What is the difficulty for the Lord to form this huge amount of water? Prabhupada raises this challenge, and then he says, but these foolish scientists, they cannot accept this, they cannot understand the inconceivable potency of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada makes the point. And in explaining for today's verse, just to Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he points out that that your mother also had the same realization. Mother Yashoda, she also could not understand what's happening, and then he says that he's pointing out that he's begging for forgiveness to Lord Brahma. Actually, I was born in the earlier verses. Also, this point was discussed, I guess, that I was born from your navel, from the lotus I sprouted. So you are my mother and you are my father. Then he says that in the prayers here and there, he's glorifying the Lord, he's glorifying the mystic potency of the Lord, he's glorifying the various features of the Lord, and also simultaneously many times he begs for forgiveness. So he says that the mother is generally very forgiving than the father, right? So he says that, please, my dear Lord, when the child who is inside the womb of the mother, the child kicks the mother so many times, but the mother doesn't chastise the child for, you kicked me so many times. She doesn't say, similarly, I did some foolish thing. So he begs the Lord, kindly forgive me for my impudent act. So he points out that. So again, some more qualities of the Lord that we can see about when we take about the various contradictions of the Lord, that is also inconceivable. That the Lord, he has his hands everywhere. He can enter the atom and he can also simultaneously spread everywhere. By mundane logic, it's not conceivable. It's beyond the mundane logic. Anor aniyan mahato mahiyan, Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita. And then also we also hear another fascinating aspect of the Lord, which is very inconceivable, is that angani asya sakalendriya vrittimanti. He can eat with the eyes, he can speak with the ears. How to understand? It's again an inconceivable potency of the Lord. His simultaneous presence in every place. And also yesterday we heard about how the yogi can expand into 9 forms. And in the 9 forms, there is one other aspect that if supposing the yogi can raise the hand, all the other 9 forms also should raise the hand. They cannot do something else. But whereas the Lord simultaneously can perform different activities. He's not constrained. It's again an inconceivable potency of the Lord. And then another amazing thing, that when we think of the Lord's very inconceivable potency, he creates the world from his pores. Actually, Krishna expands as Balaram expands as the Chaturvyuha from Sankarsana, Narayana comes from Narayana. Again, the Dvitiya Chaturvyuha comes from the Dvitiya Chaturvyuha, Sankarsana. Then Mahavishnu appears from Mahavishnu. From his pores, millions and millions of universes are sprouting. And everything he performs very effortlessly. He's holding as Ananta is holding innumerable universes over his head. Effortless, like mustard seeds. That's the explanation that is given. Again, this is an amazing thing. And also we can see, it's when we speak about the various potencies of the Lord, sometimes we can see many inconceivable activities even in the material world. Just we can take an example of, even the scientists accept this, the energy that comes from the Lord, from the sun. Within 1 second, the energy that comes from the sun, the energy that comes out can even the entire creation, all the living entities, they can consume the energy that comes within a second from the sun. Still so much energy is there. That's what the scriptures explain. That's the amount of energy of the sun. When the sun can produce this much amount of energy, what to speak of the Lord? So, and all these things, Krishna explains that yadyad vibhuti mat sarvam. So he says that it's just a spark of my splendor. This is again another inconceivable thing. How inconceivable it is. It's just a spark of my splendor, he says. Because for us, it's beyond our capacity to perceive him. And then again also, without the help of the acharyas, we cannot understand. On one hand, the scripture says that he is nirguna. And then again, the scripture says that he is kalyana akila sadguna. So how do we understand that? So then the acharyas explain, nirguna doesn't mean that he has no gunas, he has no qualities. His qualities are not mundane, but he has all the auspicious, wonderful qualities. This again. So these kind of contradictions can be resolved in the Lord. So we'll just conclude with one beautiful verse from Srila Rupa Goswami's Padhyavali. And this is again another amazing thing. The Lord has got various contradictory qualities, and the great acharyas, they can exhibit those qualities in a very poetic way. So in one of the verses he glorifies, Srila Rupa Goswami, he quotes from one of the acharyas who have written this verse. He says, Ambodhi stalatam stalam jaladatam duli lavashailatam shailo mrit kanatam trinam kulishatam vajram trina shinatam vagni shitalatam himang dahanatam ayati yasye chaya leela durlalita adbhuta vyasinene krishnaya tasmai namaha. So he says, I offer my respectful obeisances to the wonderful, playful, mischievous Krishna, who, if he desires, can make an ocean dry land. Dry land and ocean. A blade of grass, a thunderbolt. A thunderbolt, an insignificant blade of grass. Fire, he can make it to cool. Or snow, he can make it a blazing fire. So these are all amazing qualities. He can perform such activities. When he came as Balaram, he just took a kusha grass and then he just, Roma Harshana Sutta, he just pierced him. He can perform, this is oceanic. We can see various avatars, how he is performing various activities. This is something amazing. And so in conclusion, we can see that we have to appreciate the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Krishna also in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he addresses, he says that unless you take into the picture Pashyame Yogam Aishwaram, if you don't understand, if you don't appreciate my inconceivable potency, it is not possible to understand about me. And Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purports to the Bhagavatam, in the 4th canto, he points out, so what is the approach in to know about the Lord? So we'll just conclude with that. He says, thus, although the subject matter is, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, canto 4, chapter 4, text 27 and 28. Thus, although the subject matter is durvigneyam, extremely difficult to understand, it becomes easy if one follows the prescribed method. Coming in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is possible through pure devotional service, which begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho. In this regard, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur quotes a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Pravishta Karna Randrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham. The process of hearing and chanting enters the core of the heart, and in this way, one becomes a pure devotee. By continuing this process, one comes to the stage of transcendental love, and then he appreciates the transcendental name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the process. We need to have faith in the Shravanam and Kirtanam, and we have seen that it has worked wonders. We have seen Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the movement, he had complete faith in the holy name, he had complete faith in the words of the Acharyas. He went to the West, and nobody could ever imagine that the Western speaking people will chant the holy names of the Lord, will study the scriptures, will practice Krishna consciousness, will be with pure heart, distributing this knowledge to everyone. And we are seeing with our own eyes that it is happening. So it's a question of faith in the process, and with faith, if we take over the process of devotional service, certainly we'll be able to make progress. And as we were just reading this Rudra Gita, that so our life is meant to always keep glorifying the Lord. The more we glorify the qualities of the Lord, the more we glorify His holy name, the more we glorify His activities, the more we are purified, the more we will be happy. Otherwise, we will simply suffer and struggle in this material world. So just one other last point to conclude, that also this potency, this inconceivable potency of the Lord, we can also see that the Lord bestows it with His pure devotees as well. We can see with Srila Prabhupada himself, how he performed Herculean tasks we cannot understand. How he was able to, for example, he was able to immediately take the dictaphone. It was not required for him, somebody to educate him on how to use it. He started using it. And there are many mystic potency Prabhupada exhibited. It could be one whole big class itself. That Prabhupada sometimes went to a center. The mridanga, there was no sound that was coming in the mridanga. The left side, the bayan and the dayan, there was no sound coming. And Prabhupada came, he sat on the Vyasasana, he took the mridanga and he started playing. Such a nice sound started coming. And devotees were stunned. So whenever Prabhupada went, there was effulgence coming out from his body. When he spoke, there was such a gravity. Everybody was completely stuck by his words. So these are all the effect of the pure devotee, and the Lord bestows. The Lord acts through the pure devotees, and it is again another amazing feature. And Prabhupada, whenever he wished something, there is also another quality of a pure devotee called a Satya Sankalpa. This is also a quality of the Lord. The same quality is exhibited with the pure devotee as well. If the devotee wishes, it will happen. So again, these are all some of the amazing qualities. So by accepting these amazing qualities of the Lord and His pure devotees, we will make tremendous progress. So we'll stop here. If you have any questions or comments or any realizations, you can add or speak. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, I think right there in this in this chapter or the previous chapter, this point was discussed, that how the Lord expands himself into Krishna expands himself into so many calves and then the gopas and then in one of the purports, Prabhupada is pointing out that wow, it's amazing. How is it possible? And then what is impossible for the Lord? What is it? It's impossible. It's just as we discussed this, like just by the fragment of portion of his Shakti, he can do it. Yeah, so it's all completely inconceivable. It's amazing. We just simply have to. I think one of the purpose. I think Prabhupada points out. Srila Prabhupada and one of the acharyas are pointing out that simply, my dear Lord, by hearing about your glories and everything, I completely bow down to you. I mean, you are simply amazing. So that's what we can see, and that's why you can see in many prayers as well. This word Namaha is regularly being used. The first thing is that you first bow down, you first offer obeisances, accept the glory of the Lord, accept the supremacy of the Lord, and then you just take forward from there. It's a good point. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam.